both teams very concerned about the ability to rebound by the other team. So those battles inside going to be very important tonight.
Two of the better rebounding teams in the Big Ten Conference, and the two players that Brenda just profiled, Kate Kane for Nebraska and Hallie Thome for Michigan, are standing on that red letter N at center court, ready to take the opening tip. Nebraska knocked Michigan out of the Big Ten tournament last year in the quarterfinal round. Michigan won on this floor in the regular season in overtime. So we're excited to renew this rivalry in the 2018-19 campaign. Some new players on the floor. One of them, Amy Dilk, a freshman, just flipped up that errant shot, and here comes Nebraska with its first possession of the game.
Nebraska holding Michigan to just that one attempt on the first possession. That's going to be a big key tonight.
Contested shot and a bucket for Nebraska. Taylor Kissinger, a sophomore from Minden, Nebraska, gets the Huskers on the board.
A nice backdoor cut by Kissinger, always known as a three-point shooter, has improved her all-around game. Nice cut to the basket that time for the first hoop of the game.
And the first inside touch did not go to Katie Kane for Nebraska, and now Michigan is 0 for 2 on offense to start the game.
And they went inside. They're going to try to get those paint touches, those post touches to get things going. Off-ball foul and an illegal screen on Nebraska. Michigan ball. And Katie Kane got called for the illegal screen, and she's a player that has gotten into foul trouble this year. And when we talked to Amy Williams about that at shoot-around, she said, you know, she's a shot blocker. We know that there are going to be those fouls as she's contesting inside, but we want her to avoid those fouls away from the ball, just like that, where she gets caught for an illegal screen. That's not where they want her to pick up her fouls.
In the first minute of the game, no less, Deja Church off the mark for Michigan from deep. Michigan shoots just 29% from beyond the arc this year. And a Whitish the other way for Nebraska. That's how it's done. Well, Whitish was a terrific offensive player last year, the offensive MVP of this team, but she struggled a little bit with consistency here in non-conference play. I think Big Ten play is just what Hannah Whitish was waiting for. And she's averaging just over 8 points per game this year. As we look at Amy Williams, Nebraska's third-year head coach. And you saw Amy Williams at the beginning of her college career at Nebraska, and what a career in the sport she has gone on to have. It's been fun to watch her. I was an assistant coach here at Nebraska when Amy came in as a freshman walk-on. She earned her way on the team, and she has had a terrific career and doing a great job here at her alma mater. Nebraska had the biggest one-year turnaround in the nation last year, going from 7 wins 2 years ago to 21 last season, and an NCAA tournament berth in the process. Good defense by Michigan triggers a turnover. Church with the double team. Kane was having a hard time retrieving the basketball. Nice double team to strip it. And Hallie Thome was nowhere near the basket to collect a rebound from Michigan. Nebraska looks good on offense. Whitish missed the scoop shot. There's Thome on the defensive end with a rebound for the Maize and Blue. But Nebraska wants to try to score in transition, and Whitish hunting her shot is a good sign for the Huskers. Even though she misses on that attempt, that's the way they want to attack. Church guarded by Kissinger, two talented sophomores for their respective programs. So paint touches what Michigan will go toward, and there's a strip. We talked about the strip on the other end, the double team. We know the center play is going to be a big part of today's game. Whitish loves that transition three. It just caught the wrong piece of the rim. Here's Dilk, Indiana's missed basketball winner last year. Thome so strong, going to continue to pound it inside, especially since Kane's already picked up a foul. They're going to go right at her inside. And that's the thing. Michigan is not going to deter from that script. However the game is going, you can bank on paint touches for Hallie Thome. Maddie Simon tied up in the lane, and another steal for Michigan. Just looking for some offense now. Church, the sophomore, pulls, pops, and hits. Good decision by Church in transition, even over the shot blocker. Katie Kane set a Nebraska single-season record for blocked shots last year with 100 on the season, but Church fearless there with the mid-range jumper. And fresh off her first career double-double, the sophomore from Southfield A&T High School, not far from Detroit. Maddie Simon not a power forward by trade. She was actually a guard at the beginning of her collegiate career. She's 0 for 1 from the floor tonight. Church forces the issue and goes to the foul line.
So we've seen both teams pushing tempo. When Michigan gets in the half court, they want the offense to go through Thome. And that's what Kim Barnes-Arico talked to us about today. With having Caitlin Flaherty last year, every play was set up to get her touches, to get her opportunities, and without that terrific outside player, now everybody has an opportunity. And she talked about an opportunity to score, to make the offense move, and it's opened it up a very balanced attack for Michigan this year.
It still is amazing when you think about the career of Caitlin Flaherty, though. Nearly 2,800 points and a 3-time All-Big Ten player. It goes without saying that this is just going to be a much different looking Michigan team without her presence on the floor. Now to that 5 midway through the first quarter.
And already a couple of those freshmen into the lineup for the Huskers. Turnover there, and that's something the Huskers have been doing too much of early in the season.
Pretty move by Nicole Munger, and Michigan has its first lead of the night.
Munger, a terrific three-point shooter, the most consistent three-point threat. Did a great job getting to the rim.
Out of bounds underneath, and Michigan's defense continues to fly to the ball.
Well, Naz Hillman, who tried to take it to the rim, is the leading scorer for the Huskers coming off the bench. Her first attempt blocked solidly there inside.
Hannah Whitish with all day to line that shot up. Thome the rebound. And it's interesting, both leading scorers for the two teams tonight are freshmen. And a turnover.
And freshmen that come off the bench. Both coaches deciding to get those freshmen, Naz Hillman for Michigan and Sam Hybe. I believe I referenced Hillman for Michigan, but it was Sam Hybe for Nebraska, number 4, who is their leading scorer off the bench.
And the floodgates have opened, and we're seeing freshmen all over the place now. That was Leah Brown on the missed shot for Nebraska. There's a block for Kate Kane, who became the first player in program history last year to register.
And new contributions, both these teams.
One thing that was really interesting to hear Kim Barnes-Arico say about Dilk specifically, who nearly got a steal there, is that the first 4 minutes of the game tend to be where she struggles the most.
They come out of that timeout with the full court trap, and you saw a couple of freshmen, Dilk and Hillman for Michigan, trapping Sam Hybe, trying to force a turnover, trying to make something happen. Instead, Michigan picks up the foul.
Nebraska has not scored in around 4 minutes. Hybe changes that.
Nebraska has seen something in their preparation, that there are some opportunities there for the backdoor cut. We've seen at least 3 early, and 2 of them being scored on.
Great footwork by Hallie Thome. Big Ten fans have grown very accustomed to that.
Well, she continues to post low inside whichever center she is going against. Now a freshman, so all that experience for Michigan inside, they're going to take advantage.
3 freshmen on the floor right now make that 4 for Nebraska, as that shot is off the mark by Ashton Verbeek.
Yeah, Amy Williams, the Nebraska coach, talked to us about how the freshmen had kind of hit a little bit of a wall with the exams before they came back, then the holiday break, the very tough schedule on the road, and these freshmen coming back from break now refresh. Hybe, Verbeek, Brown, and Mershon, who have all contributed here in the non-conference, and they are going to be expected to make big contributions to this Husker lineup now and the future.
And Kayla Mershon called for 3 seconds. And Kim Barnes-Arico goes to her bench as Amy Williams surveys the scene. Keep in mind, too, that it's been a while because of the holiday break since the last time these two teams played anybody in a different color. Nebraska's last game, in fact, was 10 days ago on December 18th. Michigan lucky to stay alive with possession. 10 to shoot now.
Nice recovery by Hybe. They were trying to set up Hillman on a little screen-to-screener action.
One-handed flip shot by Dilk goes begging, and it stays with Michigan. And that should be a fresh 30 seconds on the shot clock, too.
it looks like it possibly touched foam last. Yeah, it definitely looked from that angle like foam had touched it last, but Michigan gets the break there as Mershon was giving her some problem on the backside, but didn't look like Mershon got a hand on it, and Michigan gets a good break there.
Perhaps reminding fans a little bit of a big call late in the game between these two teams here last year.
Well, Michigan was fouled. It was actually Deja Church, that was fouled with 0.7 seconds left on the clock, down 3, shooting a three-pointer. And the foul was called, much to the chagrin of the Husker fans and coaching staff. But then that freshman at the time, Deja Church, went to the free throw line and made all 3 free throws to send it into overtime, and Michigan got the victory.
This is a very tough road environment for any Big Ten team. Nebraska plays very well here. They are 4-1 inside Pinnacle Bank Arena this season. There is a tie-up, and the possession arrow points to Nebraska. Here is that flashback you just referenced, Brenda. What a game this was.
Well, the Wolverines were ahead at the half. Nebraska had a great defensive effort in the second half. We saw excellent work on both squads getting to the paint, and then that tough call for Nebraska, the foul on the three-point attempt, allowed Michigan to send it to overtime and got the win. And Nebraska remembered that all year. And that was really when Nebraska kind of launched into that great Big Ten season they had. They ended up finishing 3rd, and they got a lot of motivation from how well they played and how close they were in that game, and then beat Michigan in the quarterfinals of the Big Ten tournament.
Offensive foul called on Amy Dilk, the freshman from Carmel, Indiana. Michigan had numbers there, but a great play by the sophomore Taylor Kissinger.
Kissinger backpedaling, getting herself into good defensive position in the lean in and the push off, a little extension of the arm from Amy Dilk to get the offensive foul.
Another freshman mistake, you might say, and that has been characteristic of Dilk's first half season as a Wolverine. She has flashed plenty already, but has been prone to mistakes like that. What a shot by Ashton Verbeek, the 6'2 freshman from Sioux Center, Iowa.
And just her 6th three-pointer of the year, but good passing by the Huskers through that 1-2-2 trapping defense to get it to the middle and then kick out to the three-point shooter. That's the way you want to break down that extended press.
And a kick ball called on Nicaea Eilily of Nebraska. Final 2 minutes of the first quarter.
Yeah, Foam comes out and sets that screen, but she won't stay outside the paint long. And there she goes.
Right back into the paint, and she can do that with either the right hand or the left hand, as you saw right there.
And she recognized the double team, made the nice cut to the basket. Excellent pass out of the double team to set her up.
Solid ball movement by Nebraska. That shot from the shoulder of Taylor Kissinger falls to a Michigan Wolverine. That was Naz Hillman, but she was on the end line. Fresh shot clock for the Huskers.
Now, both these teams have been able to put up numbers, both averaging over 75 points a game, but Michigan's defense has been better in non-conference play, and they forced a turnover there. Both teams played a tough non-conference schedule. Michigan had 4 ranked teams that they played. They beat Missouri when they were 21st in the country. Nebraska with a very tough non-conference schedule, not only ranked teams but on the road for a lot of those games, but both coaches preparing their teams for Big Ten play.
Nicole Munger, the purest shooter for Michigan, was off the mark there, but Naz Hillman with great cleanup work underneath.
And that's what she is, a monster on the board, stays active, just went and took the ball away for that second chance opportunity.
And Eilili's foot was on the sideline. Michigan ball with a chance to pad its 3-point lead. This has been a very close first quarter.
Back in for Nebraska, number 31, PK.
And if you remember the kind of team that Nebraska had last year, they were one of the best defensive teams, not just in the Big Ten, but in the country. with so many freshmen on the floor now for the Huskers, the defense has not been up to the standard it was last year.
And they lost the leadership of a senior, Jazz Sincor, that was a tremendous defensive player. That's what she hung her hat on. And they don't have that player, the Huskers, right now, that's their role. Nicaea Eilili, a terrific defender, but Jazz Sincor kind of shored up that defense for everybody, and it's something that the Huskers will grow into and be better at, but that's one area where all the coaches and the radio staff and everybody admittedly saying not a strength of theirs right now.
Boy, there have been a lot of offensive fouls, relatively speaking, in this first quarter. Allie Thome is charged for one there. That's her first personal.
Just a little lean on the screen, little elbow there to commit the foul on the screen.
Whitish makes her move. Good looking shot by Leah Brown. Deja Church, still with some time, gets a good looking shot away, but it does. Kenray Johnson off the bench sends it to Haley Brown, who knocks down Michigan's first triple of the game.
Coming off an ACL, started the first 27 games last year before she was injured on February 11th and has recovered from that knee injury. Nice looking shot from the top of the key for Haley Brown.
Just looking at the size physically of these two teams, you see why they're among the best in the Big Ten in rebounding, although the 6'5" Haley Thome needed very little of her height there. Hallie Thome, beg your pardon, to reel that miss in.
Well, Nebraska's had a hard time here getting in rhythm. Good defensive transition by Michigan. Good job clogging up the paint. Excellent pass there, though, by Kissinger for Nebraska to set up Simon underneath.
Michigan foul number 14, Kenray Johnson. The first personal foul, team's first of the quarter.
Kissinger trying to become a more all-around player, known for her three-point shooting, a terrific three-point shooter, but starting to put the ball on the floor better, distribute better. Needs to try to set up Simon for some good high-percentage shots. Simon and Whitish, the veterans on this team, struggled during non-conference play, and the team hoping that they can find their rhythm now as we start Big Ten play.
Maddie Simon splits the pair there, and in an ideal world, according to Amy Williams, Nebraska this year is a team that can throw 6 players at you with a legitimate chance to reach double figures.
Well, and they've been explosive offensively, averaging almost 78 points a game. It's the defense that hasn't been as consistent for the Huskers, but they're struggling to score tonight.
Haley Brown is stuffed by Kate Kane, her second block of the night. Whitish, in and out. Church snaps down the rebound.
Well, I thought when the first shot went in for Hannah Whitish, that might be a good sign for her, but she's struggled since then.
And then Church takes her to the rack on the other end.
And Michigan has done a nice job of, when they get the rebound, igniting out to score quickly.
Nebraska's starting to let it fly from deep. They're just not connecting. Haley Brown got fouled by Kate Kane, and Brenda, that's her second foul.
And that was just a good move, good recognition there.
She was not happy with the call.
Well, it was good recognition by Haley Brown inside. She saw that Whitish was taking away her left hand, and when Kane came to squeeze in on the double team, Brown took advantage by going right up and under to draw the foul, and that's a big hit for the Nebraska defense to have Kane go to the bench with those 2 fouls.
She picked up her first foul just about 1 minute into the game. Her second foul comes in the early stages of the second quarter.
And anytime a free throw for Michigan, they'll get into that 1-2-2 trapping defense.
Nearly forced Nebraska to cough it up there. Whitish still looking for her second field goal of the game. Munger with a burst from the elbow. Pure.
We've seen Munger a couple of times now in transition. Hasn't gotten a good look from 3-point range, but able to score on the break. Michigan's defense, the length that they bring, and it's a different looking Michigan defense than we've seen in the past, but they don't get there quickly enough on the Kissinger three.
Taylor Kissinger set a school record when she made 6 of 6 3-point shots in a game earlier this season against USC Upstate. That's her first three-pointer of tonight's action. And then a foul once again puts Haley Brown on the line for Michigan. Maddie Simon, beg your pardon, Taylor Kissinger picks up the foul.
So Haley Brown has been very active inside, but here's that kick out. Sam Hybe with the dribble penetration sets up that pass to Kissinger, and I think that's where Hybe's ability to get to the rim and attack for Nebraska. The freshman can do so many things with the basketball, and they're kicking out and setting up Kissinger for the three-point shot. Maybe that gives Nebraska a little opportunity for some rhythm offensively.
Taylor Kissinger among the best in the country in three-point field goal percentage this season. Haley Brown, meanwhile, is an 80% free throw shooter on the year, but she's just 2 for 4 tonight. But Michigan has opened up its largest lead of the game. Great pump by Verbeek. And an offensive foul.
Well, Ashlyn Verbeek is a terrific athlete, but she has not quite gotten that control aspect of her game yet. She is extremely strong, and she's going to try to draw contact, but that is an excellent help rotation defense by Nicole Munger to draw the charge.
And now a travel. So both teams, as you just saw, have coughed it up quite a bit in the first half.
Well, Michigan has had a nice combination of their half-court offense when they went to Thome inside and scoring in transition. And this 1-2-2 defense, Nebraska, when they get it to the center of the court there, have been able to break it down. But it's rattled them a little bit and also hasn't allowed them to find much of a rhythm. There's some good passing, though.
What a wild shot by Verbeek.
Not the finish, yeah.
Munger with the pump. Short on the 18-footer. Simon knifes in, left hand off the window.
Boy, in traffic, that's a tough shot. The only senior on the team for the Huskers there. Maybe that gives them a little boost here.
Naz Hillman, the freshman. Church with the rebound. Up against a much taller player in Ashton Verbeek. There's a foul. And it goes on Hillman in the battle for the rebound after the Church miss. That's Hillman's second.
And just look at the battle to get the board. She is a monster on the boards, continues to work hard, but then picks up the foul. And again, that's the leading scorer on this team this year. The 6'2 freshman leads the team in scoring and rebounding and shoots an amazing 74%. So that missed shot, very rare for this freshman.
And Brenda is correct, folks. Naz Hillman is shooting 74% from the field. You have to almost say it out loud a couple of times before it really sinks in. Foul that time on Michigan's Kayla Robbins, the junior from Mitchellville, Maryland.
Amy Bonner having a conversation with Ashton Verbeek and Kayla Robbins, who are mixing it up a little bit inside before the action got going. A little preventative officiating going on there.
That's good.
That's a good thing, especially as we get started with conference play.
Mershon from the corner. Tough pass that's even too tall for the 6'5" Hallie Thome. Sam Hybe on the dribble. She's from Moorhead, Minnesota. Mershon again. Up and under. Count the basket and the foul. A much-needed bucket for Nebraska's stagnant offense.
Mershon, one of those freshmen, one of those 4 freshmen for Nebraska, making an impact, but Mershon really has been making her impact on the defensive end, only averaging 2.5 points a game, but she went tough to the rim that time against Thome, not intimidated at all by the all-conference center.
That was Thome's second foul as Mershon, a 47% foul shooter as a freshman this year, cannot connect the and one.
So the coaches having to make some decisions and say who's going to step up and hit the baskets when they need it. And so far they've been struggling, but they've been getting the ball to the rim. But I've been impressed with Michigan, how they continue to attack inside. Nebraska was bowing up for a few possessions there, but a good attack out of the timeout for the Wolverines.
Kayla Robbins with her first basket of the game, and Michigan has had 6 different players score a bucket tonight, so talk about balanced scoring.
Yeah, and they have great balance as well. I believe it's 8 over 6.5 points per game for Michigan.
Next on BTN, rivals battle in Minneapolis when Kenesha Bell leads the Gophers against the Badgers in the conference opener for both squads. Big Ten women's basketball continues next right here on BTN and the Fox Sports app. What a rebound by Leah Brown, and she puts it back in.
Leah Brown, a very versatile player in this freshman class for the Huskers, showing it there.
And it goes right back to Nebraska. Quick point about Leah Brown after this bucket by her.
Well, she stayed with it. The offensive rebound, hustles always around the basketball. They talk about her and say first in the gym, first on the bus, first to the team meals. She is a developing leader on this squad out of that freshman class.
We talked about Amy Dilk, a freshman from Michigan, as the reigning Indiana Miss Basketball. Well, Leah Brown, who's also from Indiana, was runner-up last year.
Yeah, right behind Dilk. So what another storyline in this game. We talked about the centers. We talked about the freshmen off the bench leading in scoring. You've got the winner of the Indiana Miss Basketball and runner-up on the court for the opposite teams. A lot of good storylines here.
And a really tough shot by Maddie Simon with the shot clock draining.
And she got that earlier shot inside that was set up nicely by her teammates. And that was a good shot off the screen. Picked up a dribble a little too soon with nowhere to go with it, did Brown.
And another whistle off ball. It's a foul on Kayla Robbins, her second personal.
And Robbins was the one that Amy Bonner, the official, was talking to earlier about chilling out a little bit. There was a little activity, and there you saw Robbins really battling to get offensive post position and committed the foul.
Quiet night for Hannah Whitish, running the point for Nebraska, just 3 points. Over Simon's head, but she tracks it down. Time of the essence now for Nebraska on this possession anyway. Whitish pulls up. And the rebound down to Haley Brown.
Good defensive series that time, possession for Michigan.
And a confused-looking shot that time by a Kenray Johnson, and a foul goes on Nebraska, so Michigan is bailed out again.
Well, Robbins continuing to stay active. She got the foul last time on the post-up, but she gets the offensive rebound, just takes it right away from Whitish. Whitish standing there with her arms straight up, but Robbins, being the aggressor, got the benefit of the doubt.
We continue to bring up foul trouble for both teams in the game. Neither team has really been that effective from the free throw line, however, to cash in on these opportunities. Another miss there, this time from Kayla Robbins, who's only shooting 50% from the foul line this year, and is right along her average after that trip to the line.
In their man-to-man defense, Michigan, we've seen them shifting back and forth between that and the 1-2-2 zone. Kissinger just a little off mark that time.
She thought she hit it. She had the follow-through going. It looked online, too. the length for Nebraska inside continues to alter close-range shots from Michigan.
So we talked about the centers battling in this game, but both centers on the bench with 2 fouls, Foam and Kane. So much smaller lineup for both teams.
Here comes Amy Dilk. That was the number 1 and number 2 players in the state of Indiana last year at the high school ranks going at it on that exchange. It was Leah Brown, the runner-up for Miss Basketball, charged with the foul.
And it was the steal by Dilk, just grabbing it away from Whitish from behind, pushing ahead at 6 feet tall. She is the point guard. She's adding to the length of this team for Michigan and used that length to get the steal. And they're looking forward to what this young lady can do at the point guard position throughout her career at Michigan.
Well, we mentioned some of the struggles for Dilk as a freshman, but when she has been on, she has looked very impressive. She had a 19.9 rebound, 7 assist game against Washington earlier this year, and she goes 1 for 2 from the line. Almost a triple-double.
Yeah, it's so impressive. Hybe missed on the backdoor cut that time. Maddie Simon was available on the offside.
Simon left alone and makes Michigan pay.
So Whitish has not been shooting well for the Huskers, 1 of 8. But Simon getting going. I believe she's hit her last 3 in a row as she's got 8 points now. Nice setup from Whitish to connect with Simon for that 3-pointer.
Maddie Simon, the only senior Husker on the team this year, leads all scorers with 8 points. Haley Brown, good mid-range game.
An active 4 player who typically works hard to post up, but we've seen her versatility today coming off that ACL injury from last year.
1 minute remaining in the second quarter.
1 minute to go until halftime. It was a 3-point game after the first quarter in favor of Michigan. And the status quo still intact for now.
Nebraska trying to get physical on those cuts, not allowing a clean cut through the lane. And Brown gets called for the foul away from the ball.
I mean, if you've played tonight, you've got 2 fouls, it feels like.
You know, that's part of Big Ten play starting. The familiarity between teams and players, and understanding that even though we're still in December, this is the first game of the grueling now 18-game schedule in the Big Ten, and you want to start well. No matter if you're on the road, if you're Michigan, or if you're hosting, if you're Nebraska, you want to start Big Ten play well, and you've seen it from the physical play and the determination from both teams.
Simon was open underneath, and Eilily sailed the pass.
It was a nice screen to set up Maddie Simon. She was wide open, but Eilily got a little excited with the pass.
A travel on Kayla Robbins, and both teams are well ahead of the pace set for turnovers per game. Now 11 turnovers for Michigan as they average 17 on the season. Nebraska comes in with 16 turnovers per game and already have committed 10 cough-ups. The shot clock and the game clock are identical right now, and now they do take the shot clock off. Amy Dilk for Michigan picks up the foul.
Well, Dilk was setting up Hannah Whitish like she had on that time before when she got the steal from behind, was going to try to force her one way and sneak and pick her pocket from behind, but gets called for the foul that time.
Whitish is a 67% free throw shooter this season. Again, trying to dial the form that she had last year, which culminated in second-team All-Big Ten plaudits. She goes 2 for 2 there and now has 5 points tonight, below her season average of 8.3. Munger on the dribble for Michigan. She picks it up deep in the backcourt. There's Robbins with time, and the shot altered by Kayla Mershon, but she's also called for the foul, her second.
Well executed play that time by Michigan, spreading the court, looking for that cut by Robbins to get the isolation inside. Robbins able to draw the foul, but Robbins, as you mentioned, has struggled from the free throw line this year. We haven't seen either team be stellar. Yeah, Michigan just 6 of 12 from the free throw line, although Robbins connects on that one.
4 points for the junior Kayla Robbins, whose dad played football at Michigan State. I'd imagine that makes for some interesting family dinners, especially around the holidays. I'm sure he's rooting for Michigan tonight, however, as Sam Hybe's half-court prayer goes begging, and we go to the locker room with Michigan ahead of the game of the season.
Yeah.
The competition has been cranked up a notch. Both teams are still feeling each other out and trying to find their own identity as well.
You know, you've gone through non-conference play, you've seen a lot of different styles of play, but there's nothing like playing a conference opponent. There's that familiarity. You know each other well. The coaches, the teams, the players know each other well, and it's just harder to score once you face a conference opponent.
Starting fives back on the floor for both teams, and there's a quick turnover as Nebraska tries to work Kate Kane back into the rotation. A bad pass gives the ball right back to Michigan.
And they had some good action. It looked like Kane had good positioning, but she hadn't quite gotten herself set as she tried to keep Thome behind her, and not a good angle on the pass from Simon.
One thing Michigan did do effectively in the first half was get to the foul line. 14 foul attempts for the Wolverines, part of Kim Barnes-Arico's game plan. That was an air ball from Haley Brown.
And then we saw Brown hit some good mid-range shots in the first half, but Kim Barnes-Arico talked to us at shoot-around today about the fact that she wanted to get to the free throw line. She wanted to draw fouls, but a lot of freshmen in this game and not a lot of offensive production from any of them as they try to figure out what it's going to take to score in Big Ten competition.
Both teams still have very highly regarded freshman classes, and in fact both Nebraska and Michigan's leading scorer is a first-year player, but scoring for freshmen in this game has been limited to say the least. Allie Thome off the front of the rim, Kane with the rebound.
Kane made it tough for her defensively, a difficult shot by Thome.
Maddie Simon did a beautiful job running the floor there, but could not finish the reverse. And now the tempo is pushed the other way by Deja Church. That rattles out. There's Simon again.
Well, Michigan has had the looks to start the third quarter here.
And the reverse again does not fall for Nebraska. That time off the right hand of Hannah Whitish.
Well, we said both teams have made it difficult for their opponents to score, but these misses here to open up the third quarter have just been missed shots. They aren't anything the defense is doing.
Great move inside by Amy Dilk, who's usually on the distributing end of passes like that.
You know, Dilk, an impressive player as one of the freshmen that we've been talking about. Just over 4 assists per game typically. That time, nice move to the basket.
Kissinger lines one up. Turns the net inside out.
And that's what Taylor Kissinger does, maybe as well as anybody in the country. That flare screen that Amy Williams' team set for her to fade off to that offside wing. She is so good at getting her feet set. The screen set by Simon. She gets her feet set, that high release. That is really difficult to defend, and when Kissinger gets herself in that position, she is money.
One of the few players whose shot has been on tonight for Nebraska. The Cornhuskers shot just over 32% in the first half. There's a travel for Michigan, and Nebraska can tie the game with a made three-pointer. Sunday on BTN, Charles Matthews and the Wolverines are back on the floor to close out non-conference play against Binghamton. Big Ten basketball presented by Jeep, Sunday at noon Eastern, right here on BTN and the Fox Sports app. Maddie Simon continues to pick up where she left off in the first half.
And good work, a little dribble, took her time, had a good look at a mid-range jumper.
We just saw Naz Hillman get off the Wolverines bench. Here's Haley Brown underneath. Almost a block shot by Kane. Maybe they'll credit her with one. There eventually is a foul called.
Well, it was because Kane came over off of Thome to make that shot difficult that the pass was made to set up Thome, and then as Kissinger dove down, she commits the foul. Look here as Robbins is looking. She sees Kane come at her, makes a good decision to throw the ball to Thome, but Kissinger there for Nebraska to commit the foul.
And there is Hillman, the freshman from Cleveland, with her senior teammate Hallie Thome at the foul line. 7 points tonight for the senior and two-time Big Ten first teamer. Post touch for Kane and a kick out to Simon. She drives. Got covered up and is called for an offensive foul.
Nebraska foul number 24, Maddie Simon.
Well, she drove right into traffic. I thought she possibly traveled as she gets the ball, goes into three players. I think the foul was called as she ran over Church there. Was that Church or Hillman? I'm not sure. But just not a good decision by Simon, trying to make something happen, trying to create, but there were three defenders there.
Well, there's a travel.
And that was good team defense by the Huskers, and that's what Amy Williams talked to us about for Nebraska. They haven't been great defensively this year, and she said we don't have that individual defensive player that just puts the team on her back and says, here's what we're going to do, and leads the way. They need better team defense, and that's what they got on that play.
And with so many freshmen on the floor for Nebraska, it will be a work in progress. Mershon gets turned away. And it's Michigan ball.
And again, Kissinger kind of trying to be a part of the action and gets herself in bad position and commits the foul, but Michigan not giving anything. Boy, it looked like Church got some arm there, but instead, Kissinger comes in to try to retrieve the basketball and gets called for the foul.
And Amy Dilk buries the 16-footer.
Back to that 1-2-2, and right as the Huskers come across half court, they're going to see that trap.
Bad pass intercepted by Nicole Munger. 3-on-2 for Blue. The numbers even out, and now Dilk sets up the half-court offense.
So sometimes that 1-2-2 isn't meant to force the turnover out of the trap. It's just to make you make a pass that you don't want to make. That's what happened on the last possession for Nebraska. There, Dilk just had that ball get away from her with the pressure from Whitish. Whitish, the offensive MVP last year for the Huskers, had such a good showing in conference play. Was preseason All Big Ten. But just hasn't found that rhythm in her game yet this season.
She did have a minor knee injury early in the season in November that snapped a streak of 50 consecutive starts. As you can see, she's not wearing a brace or anything like that right now, but maybe that's still somehow in the back of her mind.
Well, she hit her first shot, but she hasn't hit one since then, as freshman Leah Brown puts the ball on the floor and draws the foul. That time, just the one-on-one defense allows for Nebraska to at least draw the foul. On other plays, Michigan has done a great job of bringing a double team or clogging up that lane, and there's been nothing easy in the paint for Nebraska. That time, though, just the one-on-one opportunity for Brown allows her to draw the foul.
4 points for the freshman out of DeKalb High School in Auburn, Indiana. Inside to Thome. We have not seen as many post touches as we thought we would, or either big for Michigan or Nebraska tonight. Michigan is confident in Thome's ability to knock down that shot. That was a good-looking shot, but it did not go through.
Well, the Huskers would rather have Thome take that shot from 17 feet conference play. It's going to be interesting to see how things shake out, how those non-conference schedules prepared each team for conference play. We talked about it earlier in the game. Back to that 18-game schedule for the Big Ten, so it shortens up the number of non-conference teams they play.
Travel on Naz Hillman. Neither team is shooting above 38% in the game tonight.
Hillman, the leading scorer and rebounder for the team, comes off the bench. The freshman just hasn't been able to get much going, and that's the leading scorer for Nebraska, the freshman off the bench, Hybe. She hasn't either. They're getting a lot of attention from their opponents tonight.
Well, maybe it's Amy Dilk, yes, another freshman who gets the offense going for Michigan. She's got 6 points in the third quarter.
Yeah, she has been aggressive with the basketball. She has hawked to the ball whenever Hannah Whitish has it in her hands. And we talked early in the game that Kate Kane for Nebraska doesn't want to pick up fouls on illegal screens, as we watch the layup by Dilk getting past a couple of defenders for the Huskers. But you don't want Hallie Thome to pick up the foul on hedging on an on-ball screen, and that's where she just picked that one up.
It's a huge foul because it's Thome's third.
Yeah.
Great pass inside to Simon, the converted power forward. She was a guard. And Hannah Whitish, once again, has just not found her shot tonight.
And they set her up on a little inside-out action, screening for her on the perimeter, but I didn't think quite got her feet set that time.
Dilk inside on Whitish. And the rebound pulled down by Nebraska.
Well, Dilk got by Whitish the last time, so she tries to use her speed and her length to get by again.
Up top, Verbeek sees that one swirl out. Here comes Michigan, dominating Nebraska in points in the paint today, 20-10, advantage Wolverines. Here's Hallie Thome, a big part of the reason why that shot did not quiet down.
Verbeek with a good defensive effort that time.
Look at Simon run the floor. She is a state champion in the 300-meter hurdles in high school, but she could not complete the layup.
A great track athlete, but even though she was able to track down that ball, which was just hard to catch, she didn't get herself under control.
Thome finds her footing that time underneath.
Now, they're going to try to take it right at the freshman Verbeek inside. Ashton Verbeek made it tough the time before, but a great move by the All-Big Ten performer Thome.
More illegal screening after this replay.
Well, the work inside and the setup by Thome to get past Verbeek. So strong, so tough to handle. 3 fouls, though.
The ebbs and flows of this game, Michigan has led for the majority of this contest, in particular after the midway point of the first quarter. Nebraska has made it close periodically throughout, but they have been unable to overtake Michigan outright. And there you see the tantalizing potential of the freshman Naz Hillman. What a move. Shooter's touch for Leah Brown.
Just a 28% three-point shooter in non-conference play, but the coaches really like the versatility in her game, her ability to score at all 3 levels.
Kenray Johnson back to Dilk. Freshman on freshman here at the top of the key.
And freshman on the block as well.
6 to shoot. Johnson. And a great box out by Verbeek.
Verbeek is so strong.
And not afraid of physical contact either, we understand. Altered shot by Michigan's defense. Here come the Wolverines.
And Hybe looked like she found a crease in the defense, but just didn't take it one step far enough.
It closed pretty fast. Hillman nearly stripped and then turns it over. Intercepted by Nysia Eilili, Nebraska's best defender, who averages over 1 steal per game.
And good anticipation away from the ball, but Nebraska's got to find a way to get some rhythm offensively. This is a team that's averaged 78 points per game in non-conference against a very tough non-conference schedule, but hasn't found a rhythm tonight.
Leah Brown could not hit her second straight three-point shot, and now Michigan can pump the brakes with the shot clock turned off in the third quarter.
You can see why Michigan is such an outstanding rebounding team. 7th nationally in rebound margin. They just go rip the ball away inside. Nebraska appeared to have that rebound secured. Wolverines snatched it away.
You do not get many second chances against Michigan's defense. Johnson on the drive. She goes to the line.
Well, Kim Barnes-Arico spoke with us at Shoot-Around today about how she knew it was going to be imperative that her team attacked, drew fouls, got opportunities to go to the free throw line. That was a key as she talked to us about how she wanted to attack this Husker defense. We've seen them do it in transition. We've seen them do it by passing the ball inside for post touches. We've also seen some good driving dribble penetration to attack the Husker D.
Johnson is a 75% free throw shooter. That one was well short. At the buzzer.
Just picked up her 4th foul. So a big development for Michigan as Hallie Foam is going to have to go to the bench.
In, out, and back in again for Nysia Eilily. Nebraska's coaching staff thinks that if she has more confidence in shots like that, she can be a game changer for the Huskers.
That's her 9th three-pointer made on the year, and so good at so many aspects, especially defensively. That's a big boost for the Husker offense.
Too many steps inside for Naz Hillman, and that's another boost for Nebraska.
Well, and that's a great double team. That time Kane and Mershon able to bring the double against the leading scorer, Hillman, a player who on the year is averaging 74% from the field. And there's Hallie Foam cooling her heels on the bench. Hybe has been well defended by the Michigan defense.
Shot strong from Kissinger, the three-point specialist for Nebraska. Church, as always, accelerates. Could not drop that one in. There's Hybe with a rebound inside.
Boy, Michigan has missed a lot of opportunities in transition. They've had some close looks that just have not gone down.
Eilily had another shot there on the right wing if she wanted to take it. She decided to drive instead and is going to the free throw line, or rather picks up a foul that goes on Nicole Munger for Michigan. That is Munger's 3rd.
Watch the screen for Kissinger. Well defended that time by Dilk. Got around the screen.
So they go inside to Kane instead, who nearly fumbled it away. Eilily, left hand, yes, she's got 5 straight points for Nebraska.
Boy, that's some athleticism just to get a hold of the basketball. She was in traffic. It looked like it was getting away from her, and she wheeled it in with her left hand to be able to finish. Strong play by Eilily.
Nebraska has never led in this game.
Watch how Kane kind of overthrows her, and just to corral the basketball and get a chance at a good shot was difficult.
Correction, Nebraska has not led since the first quarter. They did have a 5-point lead just over a minute into the game. It's been all Michigan ever since. Dilk blocked by Kane. That ball is loose, and it's finally pulled down by Nebraska. Can they take the lead early in the 4th quarter?
Hybe playing the point now. A lot of room to operate in the paint. They've got Kissinger posting. She didn't want it, but watch her flare out. That's a place where Kissinger can hit that three-pointer. Again, good defense by the freshman, Amy Dilk.
Right hand. She's got 4 blocks tonight. How does Michigan rally coming out of the timeout? Haley Brown with the answer right over Kate Kane.
Good ball movement. Excellent work to get the ball inside, because after the ball moved from side to side, it was good positioning to set up Haley Brown. Hybe continues to be hounded. Everywhere she goes, somebody there, but they leave her. I think she couldn't believe how open she was in that situation. She ran into a double team, and then both defenders ran away from her. She was so wide open, she short-armed it, got her own offensive rebound, get a chance to go to the free throw line.
Well, still a heady play for the freshman to follow her own shot there.
And what an athlete Hybe is. The freshman was a pitcher in high school. Actually played baseball on the boys' baseball team, was the first baseball player to pitch at U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. And Amy Williams talked about that when Amy would call Sam on recruiting calls, sometimes she wouldn't get a hold of her, and Sam would come back and say, "Sorry, Coach, I was out playing a pickup game of hockey out on the ice pond." So just any different sport that she could play, she wants to be involved in.
A fantastic athlete coming out of Moorhead High School. Go Spuds. And Amy Williams, her coach here at Nebraska, also credited Nebraska's baseball coach Darren Erstead with helping in the recruiting process as well. They took Sam to the baseball facilities here at Nebraska. There she is after the steal.
Darren Erstead from that part of the country. And because Hybe's such a great baseball player, took a look at the baseball facilities, like you said, and it was a big part of her recruiting trip. Darren Erstead, of course, legendary here at Nebraska, was a punter for a national champion football team for the Huskers in the 90s, and a terrific baseball player that played in the major leagues and is the head baseball coach for the Huskers.
Well, and I tell you what, Amy Williams is lucky that Erstead did not recruit Sam Hybe away from her program and bring her along to the baseball team. Kane, tough shot. Church pulls down the rebound and hits the deck.
Big defensive stand that time for Michigan. Nebraska has the momentum. They're attacking. They're doing good things. Michigan clogs up the paint, doesn't allow an easy shot there, and makes sure they secure the rebound.
That foul, by the way, was on Nebraska's Taylor Kissinger, so she has 4 fouls. You try and predict storylines going into a game. This was not one of them, the foul trouble for both teams.
Yeah, both have gotten into foul trouble, but they're deep and balanced, so you're seeing contributions from a lot of different players. The biggest harm, of course, is Thome, the 6'5" center, being on the bench for Michigan.
There's another steal by Nysia Eilily, the junior, down the floor. Goes to the line. Haley Brown is whistled for the foul, her first, believe it or not.
We started the fourth quarter, and Thome comes onto the court with 3 fouls, and watch how she gets the foul there, just a little lean and a little elbow on the illegal screen, and that is not how you want your 6'5", all Big Ten Conference center to pick up her 4th foul and sit on the bench for much of the fourth quarter.
Especially because she had a foul almost identical to that called on her in the first half.
Yeah, that is not how you want your post players picking up their fouls. Guards have to rub off closer to the screen, and post players have to just stay set and allow the screen to happen and not try to get a little extra elbow.
Well, Nebraska continues to make things happen on the defensive end of the floor in the fourth quarter. Again, Nysia Eilily with some astounding defensive effort.
Well, what a lift she has brought in this fourth quarter. Her length has bothered the Michigan offense. She has been active with the basketball. She's put the ball on the floor and attacked the rim. She's been active on both ends of the court.
Now finding her touch at the free throw line. She's 2 for 3 tonight, and all 7 of her points have come after halftime. She's at her average now of 8. As a matter of fact, all 8 of her points have come in the fourth quarter, not just the second half.
Well, this Nebraska team won a lot of games last year in Big Ten play because of the defense that they played in the fourth quarter. In non-conference play, they have not been playing defense well in the late quarters, and we'll see how this one plays out. They started off well, but Eilily, who's been so good, gets called for the foul. The strong move by Church to go up and draw it and go to the free throw line.
Kim Barnes-Arico said that Deja Church can provide a spark for Michigan. Just a sophomore. And she's trying to keep the Wolverines in this game, anybody's game, as we approach the midway point of the fourth quarter. Brown on the drive. Rebound was nearly pulled away by Nicole Munger, and then some contact underneath. You mentioned how Michigan just rips rebounds down. Well, Nebraska went toe-to-toe with the Wolverines there.
Well, we've seen the difference that Brown has been making, and there it looks like just some arms got tied up. To me, it looks like a basketball play. I don't even think they're going to go look at the monitor on that. I think both teams just trying to go for the rebound, and Leah Brown has been impressive. Hasn't put up huge numbers yet, although she's to 8 points now on the scoreboard, but every time she touches the ball, something happens. And Amy Williams talked about her ability to score at all three levels, at the rim, the mid-range game, and from three-point range, and we've seen that on display, just her versatility.
The 2018 Big Ten Coach of the Year, Amy Williams, leading Nebraska in her third season at her alma mater.
What a remarkable turnaround last year for the Huskers. And to win 9 road games in Big Ten competition, it was just a remarkable turnaround from the season before.
Again, no Hallie Thome for Michigan because of foul trouble. And after a turnover, here comes Nebraska. Eilily for 2.
Defense leading the offense again for the Huskers. Eilily has been at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and that's when Nebraska went on its run.
It would be a forgivable offense if you forgot Eilily was on the floor for much of this game until the fourth quarter. And she has since really put Nebraska on her back with some big possessions offensively and defensively.
Whitish picks up the foul there, but she's chasing Munger, Nicole Munger, who has not hit a 3 in this game. The best three-point shooter for Michigan has been held in check. She did not score against Nebraska last year either, only had 1 point in the 2 combined games did Munger. She had a couple of mid-range jumpers this game, but has not hit a 3 against the Huskers.
We also remind you that number 30 in maize and blue, Hallie Thome, with 4 fouls, is back on the floor for Kim Barnes-Arico. Michigan's most tenured player, Hallie Thome, battling foul trouble tonight. Nebraska battling a shot clock, and that's a shot clock violation. Good defense for the Wolverines.
Yeah, there was no look. The crowd was trying to help the Huskers out, giving them an awareness of the shot clock winding down, but there were no shots to be had. Some confusion as Michigan trying to get into their offense.
Thome looks out of place, and a travel.
We've seen Haley Brown do a lot of good things in this game, but they were isolating her on the freshman, Ashton Verbeek, and as she tried to make her move, she committed the travel, so an unforced error that time for the Michigan offense at a critical time.
13 turnovers in the second half for Michigan. They average 17 per game. Whitish got bailed out by Brown, who takes Dilk to the rack and puts it in.
There's that rivalry we talked about. Dilk was named Indiana Miss Basketball, and the runner-up was the player that just took her to the rim. You know there's a long-time rivalry there, some familiarity from their high school days. A big play, and I've been really impressed by this freshman, Leah Brown, putting the ball on the floor, her versatility at 6'1", to put the ball on the floor and create.
Up top, Brown. Huge bucket for Michigan.
Just a 21% three-point shooter, but she was ready after committing the foul, or the travel, on the previous possession. She was ready to hit the shot that time.
Brown's got 12 points tonight for Michigan. Heide with a crossover and a dump down to Kane, who's blocked but puts it back in on the second try.
Boy, that's some good hands. Kane had that blocked and was still able to retrieve it and keep it up high.
Well, this is the kind of game we thought we would get at tip-off.
Yeah, we've seen both teams settle into it, and there is a high level of energy and intensity right now from both sides.
Thome lines it up. Rebound to Brown and Nebraska. They look to pad a 6-point lead with 2 minutes to go.
And since Thome's been in, Michigan hasn't gone to her on the block. They haven't set her up to try to go at Kane inside. Again, Nebraska would be much happier to have her face up for a shot 10 feet away.
Hybe with a crease and another bucket for Nebraska.
And that's a welcome sight for the Huskers. Hybe was 1 for 7 before that make. And here they go to Thome. See,
who puts it in on cue?
That's what happens. I mean, I'm really surprised they haven't gone to her each time. They tried to isolate Verbeek earlier, but this time they get it to Thome, and she just splits the double team. But watch how Hybe, the freshman, turns on the Jets. And I love talking to Matt Coatney, the radio voice of the Huskers. He said to me before the game that Sam Hybe may be the best at getting to the rim since Nicole Kubik. And you have to be a longtime Husker fan to know that name, as Nicole Kubik, a native of Cambridge, Nebraska, was one of the best at getting to the rim back in her day.
You betcha.
That's right. That usually comes on a three-pointer, but that's definitely what Matt Coatney says.
I'll work on that.
There you go.
Final 90 seconds now. Thome on the verge of a double-double for Michigan, but now the Wolverines need a stop on defense. Hybe with her first three-pointer of the game, a crucial bucket.
Cold-blooded. Amy Williams just put her hands on her head like, I can't believe that's the shot we took, and I'm really glad she made it.
Thome goes back to the line, but you live with that if you're Nebraska at this point. They're making threes. Michigan is settling for twos.
So there's a lot of time on the shot clock. Nebraska's supposed to be using a little time, but Hybe decides to pull up for the three over the 6'5" center for Michigan, and has a little smile on her face because that's not probably the shot she was supposed to take, but it worked out pretty well for the Huskers.
Nebraska is barely shooting 33% from deep, but when the game has mattered most, right here in the fourth quarter, Nebraska has started to hit its shots, and suddenly they lead by 8 points.
You know, we've seen the energy from the defense that has really ignited what the Huskers have been able to do, and as they look to go ahead, they're going to have to go on the road to Ohio State, and then the 16th ranked team in the country, Iowa, which will be another great center matchup. What a year, what a career Megan Gustafson is having. And then hosting Maryland back here. So back-to-back ranked teams that they have in their upcoming schedule. But Amy Williams has to be very pleased with the way her defense came alive here in the fourth quarter when it has not been so strong late in games in non-conference play.
Thome is an excellent free throw shooter, 72% on the season, and now 3 of 4 tonight. And when you see a schedule like that, you see the importance of starting 1-0 in conference play.
Well, in any conference, and in the Big Ten with the 18-game schedule, you want to win every time you step on your home court. You have to protect your home court advantage. And if you're Michigan and you can go and steal a few on the road, that is such a lift as you go into conference play.
Haley Brown fouls Nicaea Eilily of Nebraska. Brown's second personal foul.
You know, in the first half, we talked about the fact that Nebraska struggled against the 1-2-2 zone a little bit, but we've seen them be better at passing the ball and making good decisions against that pressure defense.
Eilily bouncing on the balls of her toes as she saw that free throw sail through the cylinder. Reminder, fans, we're only at the midway point of our triple header of Big Ten women's basketball tonight. Wisconsin and Minnesota take their rivalry to the hardwood. Coming up next after this budding rivalry in the Big Ten between Michigan and Nebraska. Here's a look at Michigan's upcoming schedule and an interesting parallel between Nebraska's upcoming slate of games. Michigan has to face Maryland and Iowa back-to-back as well, and Michigan has to do it on the road.
And they'll play Minnesota, who's undefeated at this point under Lindsay Whalen's first year as head coach for the Gophers. And That's a tough schedule coming up for this Michigan squad, but they've been tested in non-conference play. They played a lot of ranked teams. They have played well. They beat Missouri when they were 21st in the country. They knew it would be tough coming in here to Nebraska, but boy, they had that stretch those first 4 minutes of the fourth quarter when Hallie Thome was out that they were turning the ball over. They weren't as aggressive defensively, and they allowed Nebraska to take the lead and stretch it out during that time.
You said as soon as it happened, that fourth foul on Thome was huge and to a large extent derailed Michigan in this game. Brown up top again, off the mark, difficult rebound to Eilily. Eilily, in addition to her prowess defensively, has got 12 points tonight, 2 shy of her season high, as Deja Church has whistled for the foul for Michigan.
Eilily was quiet early in the game and really asserted herself here in the fourth quarter. We saw some dynamic defensive plays using that length to deflect and get some steals on the defensive end. She was aggressive on that pass from Kane and gathering the ball and scoring. Has just done a lot of things to spark this team. We've talked about all the freshmen and a couple of sophomores, the young players for the Husker team, but Eilily, one of those upperclassmen that they lean on for leadership, and she provided it tonight.
Again, next on BTN, rivals battle in Minneapolis when Kenesha Bell leads the Gophers against the Badgers in the conference opener for both squads. Big Ten women's basketball continues next, and enjoy this package of Nysia Eilily's fourth quarter.
Well, she has brought the spark. We've talked about it. The three-pointer, not known as a three-point shot. She rattles it in. She corrals that pass from Kane. She deflects and plays great defense, causes the turnover once again, and the foul on Dilk, both ends of the court. Eilily, the junior out of Colorado Springs, making an impact.
Now for Michigan, it's not ideal for any team to be down 10 points in the final minute, of course, but this scenario seems in particular unsuitable for the Wolverines because they are shooting under 30% from deep this year, and you want buckets like that to try and get back into this game as quickly as you can.
Yeah, the best three-point shooter for Michigan, the most consistent, is Nicole Munger, and she has been limited by the Nebraska defense, hasn't made one three-pointer tonight. As we look at Eilily and her line, all 14 points here in the fourth quarter. And I'm sure Amy Williams will talk to her team about when you pick it up defensively, good things are going to happen on your offense, and Eilily showed that.
Eilily, by the way, is outscoring Michigan in the fourth quarter. It's Michigan ball.
In the last minute of the game, the officials have an opportunity to review who the ball was touched last by. So Alicia Grinter and Amy Bond are going to go over and take a look at that one. Wow.
That's tough.
There's a lot of fingers and a lot of hands. Let's take a look. Again, Whitish. Boy, Whitish and
Nicole Munger. It looked like Deja Church had her paw on the basketball very late in the action there.
That's a tough one.
Original indication and call by the officials is that it's Michigan ball.
It looks like there's Whitish with a hand on it. But it looks like the player behind, that is Munger, may have gotten a hand on it, but no, they're saying Whitish touched it last. We'll see here.
Pretty tough to find indisputable video evidence to overturn that call. Amy Dilk to throw it in with just 43 seconds left in the game. Munger wiped out. It goes to Thome instead. Eilily again gets her hand in the passing lane. Remember, she has 2 steals today and nearly had a third.
Boy, and I thought Eilily knocked it off the hands of Deja Church there, but they're not going to review that one. But again, Eilily being there to disrupt, just her length causing a problem even on that shot.
Kane snatched that rebound away from the shorter Amy Dilk. And a foul on Dilk puts Kane at the other free throw line.
And here's one of the very strange stat lines for the Huskers. Kate Kane has only been to the free throw line 5 times all year and has only made 1. As much as she has the ball in the paint, it's just amazing to me that she doesn't get to the free throw line more often.
Not a bad stroke right there. 5 points for the sophomore from Middletown, New York, who is, as expected, made her impact felt on the defensive end in particular tonight. And Nebraska is getting all the breaks in the final minute. It's Cornhuskers ball.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to go back and take a look once again because, again, the officials can go to the monitor to see who touched the ball last in the last minute of the game. And Thome had inside position. And you see the action by Mershon behind her, but it looked like Thome then brought her left hand over to try to grab it and did touch it. Mershon pushes it forward, but doesn't it look like Thome then tried to grab it with her left hand and touched it last? That's what it looked like from that angle.
Hard to tell in real time and in slow time. Nebraska just 33 seconds away from a 1-0 start in conference play. And that same amount of time away from beating Michigan for the second game in a row. The call stands. It's Nebraska ball. Eiley, if not the player of the game, the player of the fourth quarter for Nebraska. Hands off to Whitish, the 2 most tenured players for Nebraska. A couple of 3-year starters for the Huskers to really round out what is otherwise a very young roster. Hybe for good measure.
She had that big drive to the basket, followed it up with a big 3-pointer as well. It just puts the frosting on the cake.
Well, let the rest of the Big Ten take notes. If you have to come inside Pinnacle Bank Arena